Ba-da-ba-da-da. Welcome to the Battle Vision.
I thought you would carry that
on.
Battle Vision. You know,
that's the new theme. We just steal the what's it? Fuck.
You know, Joe Swanson is like more iconic than a lot of animated sitcom like main characters. I'd argue Joe Swanson is actually like third most iconic. He's like just behind Homer and Peter. Like,
yeah,
more people know Joe Swanson is in like Stan, or even possibly even Fry. Possibly.
Yeah. That's because let's be realistic. Fry is like not the iconic one out of the Futurama cast.
I mean, Bender is Bender is like the most iconic side, but he's not a side character really.
Like fucking even the scientist, like basically anyone other than Fry. Other than maybe the Asian
because
bit,
I think the most. I think he's because I see Fry's like a big meme. I haven't really seen many of the other ones as memes. Fry's got that massive meme.
Why not Steinberg?
Shut up and take my money is way more common. I still see it sometimes.
Yeah, he's lucky at that. But there is also one Zoidberg.
I think that's because he's actually a better main character than a lot of them, possibly.
Yeah, that's because Futurama was like an actual story.
Stupid. Yeah, I mean that's true. Because it is. I mean, it's in the title. It's more of a. What are we doing? We're supposed to be doing a video.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we're doing a video on Futurama and comparing animated sitcoms and how good their stories are.
Yeah, in the form of a Deep Rock Galactic Weapons tier list. You've been deceived. This is. I don't actually know where I'm going with this.
You've been deceived.
Yeah. We've lied to you.
Yeah, this is a continuation of the primary weapons tier list. You might notice that we not only are our videos much longer than other people's tier lists, we also just generally take a lot more time. Repeat Ron will put every single weapon into a 30-minute video. We'll do like an hour-and-a-half video, like 6 hour-and-a-half videos with week-long gaps.
Yeah.
That's how we roll.
That is literally, we can't stop ourselves from rolling.
If we did it exactly like someone like Repeat Ron, it wouldn't be, first of all, it wouldn't be us, and it wouldn't have any merit, because it would just be worse than those videos of that same length. And
plus, because I think there's no middle ground for us, and I think especially, like, we could literally just say, Stubby, C. And you would just like agree, and then we'd move on.
Well, I'm not going to agree.
Okay. Well, yeah, but like, it's just like I don't know. It's like either we literally do not talk about it at all, or we talk about it in its entirety, and with not an unnecessary amount.
That actually won't be the case, by the way.
Yeah. I won't allow it.
No,
if he tries putting it in D, I'm going to put it in S.
That wasn't going to be the case anyway. That wasn't.
Yeah.
I need because we don't have the low enough tier for it at the moment. No, that's also just. I am actually bullshitting. I've changed my mind quite a bit recently. Anyway, so yeah, this is generation 2 of the weapons. That is with Stubby, Voltaic SMG, the Thunderhead, the Cryo Cannon, and the M1 Garand. Is that why it's called the M1000? Classic. Because M1 Garand's like M1 Grand, and it's like M1000.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Let's go with that.
We do this in our sort of artificial class order, which is Engineer, Gunner, Driller, Scout. That means we have Engineer with the Stubby. Introducing the Stubby.
Right, I tried using it like last night. I mean, I've dabbled with it like for like a year or two now. Like every so often, I'm like, I might venture out of the Warthog, and then I use it, and then I don't do that again for like another couple months. I cannot find a way to use the Stubby that feels in any way close to good. Like it's just feels terrible to use. And I just remembered we used to start these with, they say used to, a week ago, we decided to start with range as like the main thing we'd start talking about, wouldn't it? Just for random, just to start us off. And the Stubby is one of the few guns. So actually, I don't know how few it is, but it's a gun with recoil, and a pretty unstoppable one most of the time. It feels like the recoil kind of forces it to be more close range than not that.
I mean, I don't know about that. It sounds like you just being a bit shit to me. I think the Stubby is perfectly accurate at mid-range. Pretty much always, even in the context of its most recoil-heavy builds. But not necessarily at long range. It can be used at long range, especially if you have a higher electrocution chance. You don't need to do as much work to get benefits from shooting these long range. You only need to hit a couple bullets, get what you need. Like an acid spitter. Certain things like acid spitters and web spitters, like who are very far away, actually not bad targets for the Stubby. But it's not going to be taking out spitballers that are on the other side of a massive cave system very easily, obviously. But I also wouldn't consider it particularly great at close range. Like maybe if you have it spec'd into electricity with electric arc, then you can proc a lot of electric arcs at very close range. But I think sort of its range is very dubious because I don't feel very safe when I'm using the Stubby at very close range. I'll say that much.
Yeah, and I don't feel useful at long range either. So it then just, I don't know, it's stuck in the middle, but only due to process of elimination, not exactly the fact that it does particularly well there, right? Like I don't know, it doesn't feel good at any length for me. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just I really can't stand using it most of the time. Because yeah, I mean, I think this is a thing which is an actual step up. It's not really a weapon you would bother aiming for weak points for, really, is it? But like, it's not a weapon that encourages weak point generally.
But it doesn't encourage. It doesn't really encourage anything else. The problem with the main problem with the Stubby is it doesn't really encourage any kind of particular play style. It's like it has a weak point. Although you could argue that it does in that tier. You have increased weak point damage, but then you also have increased damage against electrocuted enemies. So I guess one of those for weak points, one of those is for body shots. But neither of them feel particularly impactful. It doesn't feel particularly strong enough against weak points, even with that mod. And then the electric one doesn't feel particularly good either for whatever reason.
Yeah,
I guess because there's a lot of stuff you can't electrocute very easily.
I think those are its builds. As much as I said, I don't think it specs into weak points. It's either because I think, does it have an overclock for weak point? Is that a thing?
No.
I don't know what I'm thinking of then. But like, yeah, you basically you either spec it into like electrocution, which allows you to have shit fuck aim and like tons of recoil because you don't need to really hit the faces or like the weak points. I mean, it would be hard to miss a Praetorian weak point, but more faces of like grunts and that. It allows you to spray more into a crowd. Or you try and make it like just a normal gun. Like, if you don't play into the electricity like as much as you can, I've never managed to make that not shit. Like, I don't know about you, Harry. Like, have you actually managed to make it, like, if you don't play into the electricity, work as a gun?
Yes, but the thing is, the Stubby is the kind of gun that can never actually be. It doesn't have like any overpowered build. It just has like 2. Or maybe even potentially 3 that are just much better than others. But I mean, it has 2 overclocks that are better than all the others. And probably its biggest issue is it's a fairly weak and sad selection of mods and overclocks. It's one of the lesser out of just all the weapons in terms of variety and sort of the interest in what competes with what. The 2 overclocks, its 2 best. To give it some credit, one of its best overclocks is one of the more interesting ones, arguably its most interesting, Turret EM Discharge, but it still enforces a weird play style. It's not, and yet it feels like a simple weapon, and yet that is not an easy to use overclock, despite it being very rewarding. You could make the argument. You could make the argument that overclock is essentially, turret whip. That was just a mod, tier 5 mod for the Warthog. It should be. Well, I think turret arc should actually be like kind of possibly even folded into electric arc, which is, by the way, it's 5th tier. The tubby. the Tubby. The Stubby's 5th tier mod selection is pretty depressing, because you have Electric Arc, and then you have, what, clip size? It doesn't matter what you're speccing into, there's no competition there. You take Electric Arc.
That's the thing though, is that other option, it is either you make it pure electricity, well, its builds are electricity or just making the default gun good. And you could obviously hybrid the two, but like that's the pass. Like I mentioned with the flamethrower, you have just direct damage or sticky flames. Although there is actually also the ammo and igniting, which is why it's flamethrower is pretty good. Not pretty good, but like which is why I think Stubby C, to be honest with you, is that it has less selections for builds. Literally electricity or make the gun default good, and I think both of them often end up feeling kind of ass, especially if you go for a hybrid. But like, especially since the tier 5 is only ever electricity, so then you can't really spec into turning the gun inherently really that good, because the electric ones are kind of just better, really, aren't they? Like, you need the electrocution chance increase on the like tier 1 thing to actually use like even turret arc, turret and discharge, because you have to actually reliably electrocute your turret, and it's pretty difficult to do with the default electrocution chance. So you basically have to put that mod on, and it's just
and that's a specific. That's like the AOE option, and it is actually it's very strong. I would say actually a pretty big problem with the Stubby. It kind of just doesn't feel that great to use, which is why EM Refire Booster, both of the EMs are really important, because EM Turret Discharge, that's a different way of using it, because you're shooting the turret. But then EM Refire Booster just makes it feel better, because it does make it stronger, but it also increases the rate of fire so much that it actually doesn't feel like a pea shooter
into an SMG.
as much. Yeah, exactly. So it, I think when it comes to when the Stubby gets its inevitable overhaul, rate of fire is going to be the first port of call, basically. Same with the GK2. I feel like it needs to happen.
because one of the builds I tried last night,
any kind of armor breaking mod or overclock is also a pretty big issue I take with it.
Well, that's because though, as mentioned, it doesn't really need it in its main build, which is the electricity use. If as long as you're setting or not, I don't know, electrocuting enemies, then you're kind of doing what you need to do with the Stubby. Except that if you want to take other than the electrocution build, it doesn't really work, because there's no armor breaking. It's the weak point bonus isn't that good. I don't really think that's special. Like the recoil makes it hard to hit the things. I don't know. It's just the Stubby is just not good. like in it is literally like, if you use it as a gun, it's bad at it.
It doesn't go hard enough into either aspect, and it means it's either stuck as a very mediocre like ballistic weapon, but then at the same time it doesn't go hard enough into the electricity aspect either, which is a problem when electricity is kind of
really
a pretty weak status effect.
Lots of things are immune to it.
Turret arc is the only way to get to bypass the immunity, but that's turret arc. You're so disabled when you use turret arc, and in my opinion, it goes against sort of the Stubby's identity or its role in an engineer's arsenal, which is just being the lots of bullets weapon. And this is the reason why I would go up to bat for the Stubby. I'm never going to argue it to be higher than B, but I would defend its mediocrity to an extent, because I think what it does kind of well is it makes lower ammo builds on your secondaries feel good. As in, or maybe better put, for example, I wouldn't feel good using anything other than the Stubby with I wouldn't feel good using Fat Boy if I'm not using the Stubby, because I need those bullets. I need that larger ammo pool to play with when I'm using something like Fat Boy or Spinning Death.
But like the ammo is so insignificant though.
I know, it's really just a feeling thing. It's just you having more bullets. It means you have more leeway, but it doesn't mean it's actually stronger than most Warthog builds. But you do have more leeway, because a missed Warthog round is more detrimental than a missed Stubby bullet. That's the whole point.
But you're also going to miss a lot more bullets with the Stubby, because it's a awkward as hell gun to use. I can't really get over the fact that its recoil is really fucking strong.
I don't know. I just can't agree with that because I find it easy to control even with even Refire Booster. I mean, maybe that's because the recoil mod is too good. Like, maybe its recoil should be lessened in general.
Well, I never put that up because I think it needs help in other areas.
Well, no, that's the thing though. It's definitely an argument to be made that its default recoil should be reduced, and therefore that mod should also give less like recoil reduction to make the other mods in that tier more competitive. It's like the Stubby has like a lot of mods that you kind of can't not take, yet none of them are like actually particularly strong. It's just because.
Which, as mentioned, tier 1, higher electrocution chance. Is the recoil tier 2? Is that?
Yeah, recoil is
recoil
tier 3. I think tier 1 and 2 are pretty similar.
Right. But
then,
no,
it is tier 2. Yeah, it is tier 2.
Yeah, and then the electric one in tier 5, and like all of those ones are just the best choice for most of the best
Electric
builds.
Arc is good, actually. Electric Arc is good. And I'd like to see what an actual competitive counterpart. I don't know exactly what that would be. Probably some kind of armor breaking, or even possibly a ricochet or something. A ricochet mod for Stubby is pretty. I think something that would really help it out. It's just missing a lot of things that could make it better as well in terms of things that you could add to it. That's the thing, and it's pretty weak by default as well. It is in a sad spot, even though I find myself enjoying using it a lot. I just
can't have it next to the flamethrower because the flamethrower actually works as a gun. Like, it kills things really well. It has ammo. It has a good build.
I think Stubby feels pretty good for just picking off. Like,
no, it doesn't. It feels horrendous. No, it takes like 5 fucking shots, and the shots takes 3.5 hours to get out there, and like it's so terrible. It fucking hurts to use.
It's very easy for it to not feel good to use. It's just
because it's terrible.
Yeah, but the reason
I can't to make it usable. Yeah, actually, that's fair. You can't put it next to B because Flamethrower's best build, the Sticky Flames one, is actually really strong. It's just boring as hell.
Well, the EM turret discharge is the same, pretty much. I'd argue that's probably stronger as well.
But do you actually think it's B? Because you think we both think the Stubby is like the thing that's next, the thing that is just statistically just worse than all the other weapons, right? And you think it's next to the flamethrower and whatever else we put in B, which I think is going to be a lot more things. It just wouldn't make sense for it to be there, considering how much.
The problem is, I think that it could easily move down. It's if it was in C.
All right. Do you think that's the worst gun in the game?
No.
No, you don't, because I definitely do. I think it is definitely the worst gun in the game. Well, primary in the game.
Oh. Then surely you would be wanting it to go even lower.
Well, I don't think anything really is worth putting in D, at least not the primaries.
No.
But I think, I don't know, I just can't have it be sitting in B. I can't be having it mid tier. Maybe if you were to keep it there for now, but it's just not.
Well, it's because I know that it's never going to go. If it was in C, I know it's not going to go up for any reason, but it could very easily go down to C from B at any point.
Exactly. Well, so I mean, I don't want to say this, but like, what you think is C? Like, how many things do you think would be in C then if Stubby isn't?
Maybe 2 or 3 other things.
You think 2 or 3 things are worse than the Stubby? Are you fucking shitting me? Wait, I shouldn't be swearing.
Possibly. What? No, it's fine.
Oh yeah, no, we're not monetized, but yeah.
Exactly.
But it's Stubby is the worst. 'Cause we could always maybe bring it up later if you convince me that there's like 2 to 3 things that are worse than it, right? But I do not see that occurring.
It's awkward because I do think that it's maybe it's just the one build, but it feels good to me. But I know that without EM Refire Booster, it does feel it feels so weak. An EM Refire Booster doesn't actually make it ridiculously stronger. It does add damage and fire rate, which is really important. Right? Yeah, EM Refire Booster is basically is, to be fair, it's probably the improvements that the stubby just needs by default. So maybe that's actually it. And it's not a case of like a more average weapon having really high tier builds. It's actually the case of a below average weapon having a build that makes it as good as it should be. So maybe, alright, I'm actually, because to be honest, I wasn't feeling it in B either. I just like it more than C. But I am willing to leave it in C, probably forever.
We'll see, but I think it's definitely one of them that they need to sort out. In that it just falls behind.
I think it's arguably one of the ones they need to sort out the most because although I don't see much stubby slander, but I probably see more people.
That's because no one uses it.
Exactly.
I've never seen an engineer use the stubby. Actually, except one guy who was like level 2000, and he built like a platform out and used turret arc, and like so like it was like a really efficient way of killing glyphids.
Turret arc, Chad.
Yeah. And it actually got me trying to use turret arc, but I couldn't be asked because it's not worth the effort. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't, in good faith, put it in B. Like I don't know.
I can't, in good faith, completely disagree either. I don't. Like I said, I was never gonna try. I was never gonna try and put it above B.
No, obviously.
I acknowledge that. I acknowledge its mediocrity. And I think its place is well defined. Is as in Engineer's Arsenal, it's like being the lots of bullets gun, because Engineer just doesn't particularly have that. The Shard Defector sort of kind of occupies that space in the secondary slot. It doesn't mean it's not. It doesn't mean it's strong enough though. It doesn't mean.
Yeah, there's lots of bullets, but the bullets are worth less than the other guns.
I'll say this: it's just about good enough for that to be its role, but it should still be better in a lot of ways.
The thingy majigger, the one that makes it better. If you use any other thing, it is miserable to use.
Not for me.
It doesn't kill anything in any amount of time.
It's fine. Cleans suck. Clean overclocks fucking suck. And its ammo overclock, the balanced one, is arguably a downgrade.
Oh, that's what I was using.
That's awful. Don't use that one.
Oh.
I think it's okay if you take it for like electric arc. Specifically, if you want to use that instead of the turret discharge for AoE. Yeah. The stubby, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Stuboid.
Now, on a different note.
The LMG.
The Thunderhead heavy autocannon.
The Thunderhead. I don't want to put it above range. Okay, range. Right, okay, right. So this is actually good that we're starting with range because it's range. In a lot of ways, it is actually all ranges because of its AoE. And I think that's kind of the point. But at the same time, it's not like it's got precision.
It's like the minigun.
It's not like the M1000 where you can use it with high precision at long range. But it can still do half of its job at long range, basically.
Yeah, it's like the minigun. You can use it at all ranges, but it prefers closer. But you can still use it at long, right? And like minigun, it prefers long, but you can still use it close, kind of thing. Unlike obviously like a driller weapon where there is a set range limit, you can use the Thunderhead or whatever. Just if you have like a fat fucking hit like area, then good luck actually hitting, unless you have like carpet bomber or a neurotoxin payload.
I basically see the Thunderhead as like this unstoppable force of nature, and its drawbacks aren't actually flaws. They are safeguards to stop it from being too strong. That's how I see the Thunderhead. It occupies this position of, first of all, it has the most raw firepower in the game. That's basically its position. It's just raw, unstoppable firepower in direct and AoE. and
Yeah.
that's it, and it does it better than anything, just all the time, pretty much with every build. It's just
Yeah.
this
I think
rock.
I think we need to just rip the band-aid off, put it in S.
All right, fine.
Just
Yeah,
put it in
because
S.
we both believe it, so we might as well put it in.
Yeah,
Both agree.
because you look at its like builds, I don't. I obviously I could go over how good it is. I'm just gonna get the bad thing out of the way. Carpet Bomber isn't good.
Carpet
right?
Bomber isn't good because it has its clean alternative is like mathematically better. That's the problem with Carpet Bomber.
That is the only bad overclock. That's it. Every other overclock has a really solid build behind it. Neurotoxin payload is fucking broken. Actually, legitimately broken. It breaks games.
Neurotoxin, so I said that the Thunderhead's drawbacks are basically safeguards, or like, you know, they check it basically. But Neurotoxin payload almost looks at the safeguards and is like,
and it just ignores it.
It basically needs its own, because it just completely bypasses the drawbacks that are already there. They don't affect it in any way. Neurotoxin payload almost needs its own ones.
Neurotoxin payload,
Tyler,
you should.
I need to ask this important question. Where would you put the Thunderhead if it didn't have Neurotoxin payload, though?
Without Neurotoxin payload, it would still fight for S. It would probably end up in A. It would still fight for S though. But it's because Neurotoxin payload is literally just broken. Like you can just look at it. It kills like all grunt swarm types with like a single shot. If you're lucky, like it is unparalleled in its killing ability and its ammo efficiency. You could probably do maybe not elite deep dive, but a normal deep dive with the Thunderhead fucking Neurotoxin payload, and you will not have to take a resupply for it. Yeah. I bet you could get away with doing that. It is so fucking strong and ammo efficient.
Like I said, it sort of represents, just in general, represents the pinnacle of total firepower and damage output. But Neurotoxin payload takes it to a degree that is almost disgusting. Like if I can add Neurotoxin payload, loaded rounds, ammo. You look at advanced stats. It gives you theoretical maximum multi-target damage at 111,000. But that's because you can potentially hit 12 enemies per hit, which is quite high actually. Still, that's the Thunderhead. That's what it does. I mean, but also, even without Neurotoxin payload, it's still absolutely fantastic. And it's one of the only weapons that makes, like, I don't know, fire. Well, hold on, actually, this is a weird tier. Where you have two different fire rate mods. I was going to say something about it makes fire rate and accuracy compete with damage, but that isn't exactly
that's the thing.
But this is competitive. Even though you've got area and direct damage here, this is still competitive because of how strong it is by default.
The Thunderhead, it's just built better. It is just fucking built better. It is so insanely good. Like, if you were to pull up the overclock thing, so like everyone can see, right? That they can see it, right? Like fucking like there are mods. Like obviously, right? Big Bertha is incredibly strong. Right, that just kills everything. Low diffs wins, like easy fucking clap, right? But it isn't the funnest thing in the world, which you could also levy against Neurotoxin payload. Like it's not interesting, or like, it's not uninteresting, but it's just like killing things really well. But then it still has like fun fucking overclock as well. That's good. Like not often do you get a fun overclock that's good with that one. Yeah, like that is so fucking fun to use. Like just having like basically you could get it so you have like instantaneous max fire rate and it doesn't slow you down. So you're just running around fucking.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the best tier 5 selections as well in the game.
Yeah, it's just got one of the best
fire
mods.
I prefer so much over the others, but these are still great, especially damage resistance. It's just ridiculous.
I mean, I think I slapped damage resistance on. I know I got it on something, because it's either Big Bertha because I'm standing really slowly and they're probably going to hit me, or it's the fast one because I reached that so quickly so that I'm fast and damage resistance, and it's even more fucking diabolical. But like, I don't know, it's just. Its mods and overclock selection are just fucking fantastic, and its builds are so strong as well. Like, it's just perfect to the point where it could arguably be nerfed.
Could be.
I don't think it should
It could be because it's like my argument basically comes from this is so literally a case of it just being so straightforwardly powerful. That's what's placing it in S tier. It's so straightforwardly more powerful than basically everything else. That's what's putting it in S tier. It's the most
higher level
powerful weapon, right? It's got the most damage output, and it can do pretty much everything. Really,
amazingly.
Yeah.
Area, single target, status effect. It's like arguably like top 3 on all of them of the game.
Because and it can be built. It's good at like pretty much everything by default, and it can be spec'd very, very well into everything that you need as well.
And all of those builds are ammo efficient because it has so much ammo.
Ammo pool is ridiculous. It probably has the most like forgiving ammo pool in the game as well.
Yeah, and that's because you would miss a lot. It kind of has to forgive the shots that you literally have no control over missing. But like if you just play it slightly more like intelligently, that ain't an issue, right? If you just only shoot mid to close range, you're always going to hit. Long range, you should only be trying with like wide shots anyway, and it's just fucking amazing. And I think I would like to say that it's like a hot take because clearly this is the best gunner weapon in our minds, right? Like the Thunderhead is the best of the lot, and I think that is a slightly hot take. But it's
the most perfect because I don't think we think it's the most fun weapon in the game. I think it occupies a cool space. It feels pretty cool to use. You feel like this bringer of death, but it's not constantly the most exciting thing to use. But it's just the fact that every like mod and every overclock has a place with like a few exceptions. I think the exceptions are Carpet Bomber based sheerly on like just the facts. You can still like Carpet Bomber, and then I'd argue tier 1, this ammo is it's not even necessary, but it's just far too tempting. Possibly
220 bullets is a bit hard to turn down.
I mean, especially I think the magazine one's pretty redundant here, actually, to be fair. Like over that.
Yeah, although obviously this is the one negative, but it isn't a negative. It's just what Harry mentioned earlier, a thing that prevents it from being stupidly broken. Its reload time is horrific, right? Like you will die often if you don't actively like pay attention to it.
But in most contexts, if you've used up your entire clip, chances are everything is either dead or running away from you.
Yeah, and yeah, especially neurotoxin payload, because that's another reason why it's super broken. You can shoot 2 to 3 shots and they'll like all be running away and dying. So you could probably go through an entire swarm without having to reload like at all. Especially if for some reason you didn't take the ammo and you doubled your mag size.
I think Carpet Bomber does have an issue. I think it would be great if because like the Thunderhead kind of feels like it's inspired by a flak cannon, or the kind of guns that you get on like ships, these giant 2 double-barreled cannons. And I feel like if it had some kind of proximity detonation for like flying enemies, it's like it'll be quite an extreme mechanic to just bring out of nowhere, but I think it would help Carpet Bomber a lot.
And I think its cleans aren't revolutionary by any means,
but they're just very, very strong.
Yeah, like more ammo, it's not needed, but it's welcomed. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just, I don't know, yeah, it's just so strong.
Also, splintering shells is ridiculous because if you take splintering shells, there's also no reason to not pick the other things that stack on top of it, really. It's not like, oh, that means I can take more ammo instead of, AoE. No, you get ammo in tier 1 instead, and then you just have these 2 here. It's just nuts. Just balls to the wall. Can't fail.
So yeah, it's honest to God, it's probably our easiest S tier that will come out of this tier list. I think
it's the easiest. Not only is it the easiest S tier, it's probably the easiest weapon to place.
Yeah, it's just better. It's just better.
I am better. Like
yeah, that's the fucking the Thunderheaded Homelander. He's just fucking better. And I don't know. If you disagree, use it, and then you won't anymore because you'll win all your fights easily. And yeah, so
You'll win
fucking
all
hell,
your
yeah,
fights.
yeah. All your battles, your waves, swarms. That's the word.
And all your boss battles too.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Got you covered. Who does,
yeah.
but someone who doesn't have you covered in every scenario.
This, if you watched our last tier list from a year ago now,
Side by side for now.
this is going to be a bit of a shock because it was a shock to me, to be honest with you. Let's start with the range. It's not the best range in the world. As
the cryo
in,
cannon is short range because
it has the shortest range, right? Like of anything. Like
it's also it's not only that, it's just that you can't really take the range mod. And you
can't
take this either. That
justify it.
ammo is too important. With the flamethrower.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a pretty easy pick actually. In some scenarios, they're very. There's reason to take both of those.
I mean,
Here,
hell, they're both the fucking.
You can't be taking this. You're silly.
Yeah.
Use a silly one.
And the issue is I used to put it in X, and you know it's used to, which is a bit of a spoiler. I still think it is very strong, which is why easily A, right? I don't think it's like it's not like what do you think is the same as Harry? I don't like your hesitation. Just put it in A.
No, I'm not going to. I can't.
Excuse me.
So, what's cryo cannon? I like when other people are using it. That's it. That's it. I don't. This is probably. I don't know how to explain this. I don't. There's literally no way of using the cryo cannon that I like at all for myself in any way ever at all. I hate using it. I hate using it. No matter what. I just like when other people have it, and I need to sort of try my best to be objective, but I can't because it's never not felt weak in my own hands, and that's just a weird.
You must have incredibly incompetent hands, because the cryo cannon, if anything, benefits Driller the most. Other than other people. Then people can go fuck themselves, right? The cryo cannon is amazing at one thing. at one specific thing, freezing, right? Anything else, it's worthless. Don't bother. Which is why I don't think I could ever. It must have been pure bias that we could put it in S in the past. But it is amazing at freezing. And freezing is amazing. And both of those together, although really you should only ever use, I think Toon Cooler, like the one that gives it extra freezing power.
Yeah.
Really you should only ever use that. There is, the alternate one of like the shoot faster flow, right? There is shoot faster, like just a quicker flow rate. Like that one is also freezes better. Snowball freezes. I've never been able to use Snowball. I never wanted to use Snowball, but that does also do that. But like, it is very good at freezing, and freezing is incredibly strong. And Ice Spear isn't bad. It's not efficient and not worth using for anything other than a Dreadnought mission. But it's good. It does a lot of fucking damage. Unlike Ice Storm, which can go suck a fat one. Same as Face Melter, just a bad idea. But actually, a worse idea than Face Melter. Face Melter made sense. Ice Storm doesn't. The cryo cannon should never be used for killing things. But I don't know. I don't like that you're hesitant, because I don't see all right. I guess it's like this. I don't see a way that it could be better than what it is.
I don't see a way that it could be better than what it is without it being too strong. But even still, the way it is just doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't feel good to me. I think it feels very unresponsive as a weapon. I think it's because it's so slow compared to flamethrower.
Plus, if you
When
only ever use tuned caller, then it literally is unresponsive. It doesn't shoot
that
for
is
like
true,
a
but it's
fat
even
amount of time.
divorced from that. It's still on average freezing things. It takes much longer than setting them on fire, and it does have the spin up time. Flamethrower starts shooting immediately, and
No,
definitely.
No. Freezing runs is basically the exact same amount of time, being not any.
Then the spin up is what's making it feel slower.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. It makes it feel a little less awkward, a little more. You don't want to get jumped by it. But like once
It feels
revved
much
up,
worse. I mean, it's. I guess in the context of Driller, it's a little bit dubious, but it's like. The cryo cannon, I don't like using it against even like most things, but like individual grunts is kind of weird because in the context of Tune Caller, if you've got all that freezing power and you've got all that ammo as well, you've got more ammo than the flamethrower certainly, but you can still not kill a grunt just by it's not necessarily dead just because it's frozen, the grunt, but a grunt will die as soon as it's set on fire.
I would never use the cryo cannon to attack a single grunt.
No.
I would never bother.
No.
Like it does too much to warrant it. It's like using a nuke on a fucking single grunt. That's your argument right now. It's just you save it for when there's a lot more than that.
But what do you use instead?
Your pickaxe, drills. Secondary.
Yeah, I mean, not
anything else. Fucking satchel. I'd rather use a satchel than start revving up my fucking cryo cannon against a single grunt.
That is definitely not smart.
Doesn't matter.
But secondaries, kind of. The wave cooker's pretty awful at that, and then the best EPC build paired with it, you don't have a massive.
Well,
amount
once
of ammo.
again,
but the drills,
power attack really would just—that's what the power attack's for. Really, a single grunt, right? Like yeah, that's not a thing. It'll be a waste of the flamethrower to shoot a single grunt.
Also, I think the range on the cryo cannon is a pretty big problem, right?
I wouldn't say it's a big problem, but it's definitely one of its biggest weaknesses. Like, I agree that like
experience with it recently. But
like I do agree with you, but it has like as many flaws as the flamethrower. I agree with that. However, freezing as a status effect is just better, and that's why it should be above. Like freezing is just it benefits your entire team. Obviously, as you mentioned, you like having it on your team. But like with the fire, like status effect, like once that you kind of just that's just it, really. I mean, obviously there is temperature shock, but there's also temperature shock with this. But there is also the temperature shock build is slightly worse. But like cryo vampire build is by far the most fun thing in the game. I know you don't agree with that, otherwise you would like the cryo cannon. But like cryo vampire is the funnest shit in the game, and very strong. Like it's not just fun; it's also just incredibly efficient. Like using the cryo like slightly against an entire horde. Like you just have to spray for a couple seconds, be about like 10 ammo, and then you could just kill them all and like easily. And
I'm just having a lot of difficulty deciding if it's a bad thing or not. That it's the cryo cannon is essentially what makes the drills one of your main weapons.
Yeah,
because they can still be used, obviously, but the cryo cannon in a lot of ways needs the drills as well. That's why I'm not sure it's black and white that that's a good thing, because the drills make the cryo cannon so much better. Yeah, if you didn't have the drills, the cryo cannon would probably be worse.
The drills, I think, if the drills didn't want to be a weapon, then there'd be an argument there. But they have use me to kill things mods, right? They have like, do more damage, don't overheat while hitting things, shit like that, right? So the drills want to be a weapon, and the cryo is the thing that enables it to be a good one. And I think that is a positive.
I know my subconscious tells me that's not right, because it's not one of your weapons, but it's still a very valid thing.
Yeah. Plus, I have never ran out of the drills like just normally. Like if I'm not using cryo things, I will always have like 30 to 40 fucking thing. I've never used it to the point where I ran out of ammo normally. So using it in cryo driller actually just means I use the drills to the completion. And like it's just like axes, obviously, like cryo impact axes. I mean, hell, cryo is one of the reasons why impact axes are as broken as they are. One of many reasons, really. Like, I don't know. There's just like, I agree with you that like technically the flamethrower and the cryo cannon are basically the same in that like they have shit tons of weaknesses. They just have like one build that's usable. But I think it comes down to how fun that one build is.
The problem. Well, that's I think where we differ the most. Is I find the flamethrower way more fun to use, just from the effects.
You find sticky flames,
not sticky flames. That's not the build.
That's the build.
That's not. No. Because
sticky flames is what rivals cryo vampire as far as efficiency goes. And
I know,
like,
but that's not what I'm thinking of. But that's the thing. But that's the point, though, isn't it? The cryo cannons. It's arguably less flexible than the flamethrower as well.
Oh, way less.
Really?
I really want to deny it, but like, there is not another build other than freezing.
It's very boring for a freeze spray. I'm having some difficulty denying its strength. It's just that ever since it hasn't felt good to me since the sludge pump, and it's felt even worse since the wave cooker came out because the wave cooker made the flamethrower feel better to me than the cryo cannon.
Well, it made the flamethrower be an actual option against bigger targets, which is what the cryo cannon had over the flamethrower.
At the same time, as far as I'm concerned, both of them are pretty bad in comparison to the sludge pump. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm having difficulty denying strength. It's just such a gut feeling against the cryo cannon I have, and have done for a while. It's just sort of been stewing. Because I liked it up until the sludge pump came out, and then the sludge pump just completely took over, and then the wave cooker made the flamethrower take over for me.
So you would actually do you think the cryo cannon is the worst of the three?
It's my least favorite of the three. In some ways, I would say it's the worst, but I wouldn't say it's the weakest, though. That's the problem. And those are arguably the same thing. So I don't know what I would say. I don't think I actually feel strongly enough to fight where you want to put it, but I want you to acknowledge that we might have to move it down at some point.
Thing is right,
because I think I want you to. I don't need you to agree, but I'm putting it in low A, basically. And it's also, remember, it's a question of maybe it's weaker than we thought to begin with, because the whole point is that it's sort of fallen off its throne because better things have been introduced. This
really fucking hurts me, but it does have to go down to B. Because I just remember the rivals.
Exactly. But the problem... See, here's the thing, though. I might actually stop you, because it's never going to go up from... If we put it in B now, it's never going to go up. There's a chance it can stay... But you don't think there's any chance it can stay in A, though, do you?
I'm going to put it in B for the fleeting idea that a dev will see this and realise that they need to do something more with the cryo cannon. Like, I adore, like, put it down. It's
not that it's too weak. I just think it could be way more interesting to use.
It is. I adore the build that it has, but that build is the only thing that it has. It has no other benefit, really. Like, I said that Ice Spear is strong, but Ice Spear is
that's because
barely viable.
I think it's because freezing is so powerful, and the other builds are gonna... They will have to be focused on something else, which means they're never going to be as good. Unless they spec into the sort of the ice on the ground aspect, but I don't know if we really want that.
Yeah, but that would still just be an alternate way of freezing. Why do that when you could just freeze them, right?
Exactly. It's going to be very difficult to change that without making some more extreme changes. It's a pretty difficult situation because I can't see how it could be changed to be better without making it worse. It's either going to be as strong as it is, or it will have to be weaker but more fun. It's annoying.
I think it would have to play around with freezing as a status effect. I think it should be able to apply different types of freezing. Like there's the current freezing, which makes them, maybe it's called like fragile freezing, where they become more fragile and take more damage. But then maybe there's like I don't know, like, I mean, think about the what's it like
the, which is like maybe even longer or possibly even permanent, but they still move very, very slowly. Something where it's like much longer, but they don't actually take more damage. You know, something like that. Possibly.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, maybe just way more slowdown, but no real increase in damage boost, but also like damaging freeze, where like the cold actually just deals like 20 to 25 damage per tick or some shit. Like basically it would become like fire, I guess, but maybe it would last a very short amount of time. I don't know, something like that. Like, I'm thinking, I think maybe the way that you could make the cryo cannon more interesting is by giving it different types of freezing. Especially, I don't know how well that would work, but I think that's just one of the few options you have, because clearly trying to turn it into inherently a damage dealing weapon didn't work. Ice Storm doesn't work. Ice Spear, it's usable in very rare situations. And alternate ways of freezing just make things more complicated than it needs to be, like Snowball and
I still think my
the
idea
other
of
type.
like a precision freeze ray isn't terrible, where it's like much, like it can not really hit one thing at a time, but it's like a lot better at freezing. So just some interesting stuff, which is basically Shard Diffractor but with its temperature flipped.
I think maybe an overclock that basically does what the Wave Cooker does, and it just focus fires it. Like, you just alternate firing mode, so like there's a Mactera in the air.
If you wanted to,
double like fucking your distance, so you can actually like freeze those flying Macteras, but you have to be more accurate with it.
Also,
something like
I
that.
think your idea about freezing mist that sort of hangs in the air is actually a really nice alternative to the sticky flames, like sort of point.
It would be like sticky flames, but it would be different gameplay wise and visually and stuff like that. But like, I don't know, I just think that, like, as much as I do think the cryo cannon is a stronger weapon than the flamethrower, which is why preferably could you switch the two, just flip them around.
Okay, sure. Yes,
I do think that the cryo cannon, it isn't as all-round as good as what's in A. I do have to agree with you that, like, in A is all-rounders that are good in, like, all regards. Some failing somewhere, but, like, otherwise. But yeah, cryo cannon just excels at one thing and completely fails in everything else.
The problem is, exactly. The cryo cannon fails at some of the things that it tries to do, unlike the GK2, which is still a very singular thing. But it still branches out in a lot of different facets of itself, and it succeeds pretty much 100% of the time. The cryo cannon has a lot of failures inside it, you know.
And I think the flamethrower is also
any of the A-tier or S-tier
a
weapons really have that, except, you know, it's like bullet hell. But then again, the minigun has 7 overclocks, so not too much of a hit on it. You know? Yeah.
As much as it does hurt me, and because this was a fall, I was coming to terms with it coming down from S. I did not expect it to fall down to B. I had even not today, but a while ago, maybe probably still post Wave Cooker. I sort of had like a redo of the tier list in my head where I would put things. The cryo cannon ended up even like really depressingly low, but that was probably riding the high of not even the flamethrower being better, but just a combination of the Wave Cooker and the sludge pump, and then both being new. If we had done a tier list like right after season 2 came out, I would have tried to put it lower, but I don't believe that. I don't. Like, the cryo cannon is actually in a better place than it's ever been with the Wave Cooker, right? But the issue is the same can also be said for the flamethrower.
And it's arguably put it in a. It's done. I think the Wave Cooker's made the flamethrower better. Like, it's done more for the flamethrower than some of the cryo cannon.
Yeah, definitely. But that's because I think the flamethrower needed it more than the cryo cannon. But a certain someone else and a certain new enemy type has really thrown both of them into a state of disrepair. And like mixture of balance.
God, I'm actually really fucking excited, like, for the next one, and not the next weapon, just for the next time.
Yeah,
next
no
episode.
one's excited for the next weapon.
Some people might be. People aren't going to be excited.
No, people are going to be pissed.
I was considering what's going to be like the least controversial episode this series. And it's probably going to be like, I don't know, maybe the Gen 2 secondaries. Maybe.
I think. Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah. But I mean, either that or the first one, because the M1000 can go suck a fucking fat one.
Yeah, they're gonna first, I want to point out, first of all, it's not going to go higher than this. Let's point that out. We've got things to say. We've got.
All right, range. Long range.
Long range. Yeah.
Long range. Long range. You can build it to mid. But unlike most of the other weapons in the game, it really crumbles at close, right? It's not something you can use at close range. Because if they're close enough for you to where you would shoot them, you shoot down through the floor, you're fucking dead, right? Unless you grapple hook away, right? Because it's only viable mid-range with penetrating shots, and that kind of stuff. But it's like if you can't penetrate, they're that close. The M1000's not the weapon. Switch to the boomstick. Switch to the grappling hook. Get the fuck out of there.
Switch to the boomstick.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Special powder, or just because the boomstick is the closest weapon of the lot. Really, is my point.
Okay. This is obviously a ridiculous tangent, but yeah, the boomstick is like is one of the best weapons at ultra close range. I can give it that at least. I understand that role it serves. Anyway, the M1000.
M1000.
I'm going to point out, if you think the M1000 is amazing, you're blinded by hipster. If you like it, you're not an idiot. But if you think it's incredible, hipster is doing that, and it's a problem.
Yeah, I would say after using the high damage, is that gas recycling?
No. Super cooling chamber.
Super cooling chamber has its merits.
It's impressive what you can do with it.
You do not need that much damage. No. And there is an argument where if you put that on and then go for ammo, that might be a pretty good all-rounder. I never tried that. I spec hard into some things. But that build is usable now because obviously they buffed it or they made it work, right? They actually fixed it. And I think that is a build. And obviously, as mentioned, hipster. But it's like the only way it's usable, really. Let's get it out of the way, I guess, because as you say,
that's the difference between the M1000 and the Thunderhead. Is that the Thunderhead is arguably still S tier without its overpowered overclock. The M1000 is bad without its best overclock. And that's the problem.
And it's basically, it was the best. Thing is,
I don't even like hipster, by the way. It feels weird. It's still.
I just don't like the M1000. I think my shit aim is kind of known by now, but a gun that relies on accuracy was never going to be my cup of tea. No. But yeah, the M1000 is not my thing. But hipster just it just makes it usable. That's it. It doesn't do anything interesting for the gun. It just allows you to do interesting things with everything else, with the mods. It frees up your mods so you can actually try other builds, basically. So you could start penetrating at mid-range and doing other stuff like that. It just allows you to actually use the gun, which is why they really should just give the gun more ammo by default, reduce how much hipster gives you, and maybe just increase the ammo negative to things you don't want to have many ammo for, like super cooling chamber. If they just give the default gun more ammo, hipster will plummet in value. Which obviously, that kind of makes sense. It would literally have less value.
Although it's got a weird overclock selection, to be fair. It's got a clean clip size and reload one that's not really useful. It's got hoverclock, which can't really change, but it's just weird.
Overclock does something which I think is worth mentioning because Boomstick's special powder is really good, right? The movement it provides you, it plays excellently with scouts equipment. Hoverclock, while technically enabling you to fly, you can literally hoverclock, grappling hook, hoverclock, grappling hook, hoverclock, grappling hook, to the ceiling, and you never actually have to touch the floor.
While you're hovering, getting kill lets you hover again. whatever that
I didn't know
means.
that either. But
Interesting.
hover clock still fucking sucks to use. Like, it's so miserable. Like, it's just, it doesn't, like, because then you're using basically default M1000, right?
Well, you are.
Yeah, you are then using a no overclock M1000 in a really awkward situation where you're floating in the air, and if you don't shoot at the exact right time, you will plummet to your death.
I like this. This one's not bad, actually.
That's the one that Tom always liked, right?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty decent. It's probably the best sort of like one to use for the M1000. Like sort of
It would
in its most. It's like the M1. It's sort of like the M1000's purpose as it is default, but it's just made better.
If
These two change it a lot, obviously. This guy can go. It's like makes me feel suicidal.
Yeah, I can't believe they even attempted to try and make it good. Like, they actually interacted with it, like buffed it a little bit, and it did nothing. It's still terrible.
On paper, it's actually a big damage increase, but it's still shit beyond belief. It's still like the worst electric thing in the game.
Yeah, and electric is a pretty bad status effect, so that's a real low. That's like a shit tier medal.
Very strong opinion that electrocuting focus shots should be like the taser bolt effect. But that's just step one, by the way, as well. That's not even like everything you need from it.
It should like embed an electrical like spire in it.
If you want it to if you want it to Tesla, I wouldn't mind that. If you want it,
yeah.
I wouldn't even be opposed to that.
It's just hipster makes it usable. Everything else, like, it's like, if they moved some of the ammo into the base gun, I feel like that no slowdown aiming in would actually become like a usable thing. But until that's the case, you should really just only ever use hipster.
I think it is very I think it's very usable. Like, if you take active stability system and then like ammo damage and that, you can one-shot grunt, like body shot grunts with focus shots, but you still you just compare how much more leeway there is with the other two and how much it's just, and the difference in the variety of builds, how little on this gun is bad, and how much less variety there is, and how many bad things there are on this. That's where you see where it falls off compared to the other two.
It's just, and obviously, as mentioned, it really relies on accuracy, which is, that is a negative. That is a negative in that you need to have a high kind of like skill to use it adequately.
Yes, but I still think
to use this average weapon, you need to be good.
It's the only gun in the game that is really that, and I feel like it makes sense that there is one. A rifle, a proper marksman rifle. I respect it. I think it is needed in just to make the game's like selection feel complete. That doesn't mean it's good enough.
And its best build, being hipster, is the least skilled one, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Supercool Chamber, though, is definitely much more rewarding than it used to be, and it does reward that accuracy almost enough, arguably enough, or more than, or maybe more than enough. It's impressive what you can do. If you're really good with it, you can one-shot like menaces and wardens and spitballers. And do a lot.
One-shotting high priority targets is very strong, but I think in most cases it goes past the breakpoints you need it to. So maybe getting if I just put using ammo on, but
it's so much more forgiving just using cryobolts or like cryo minelets and freezing things and then just laying into them with hipster. There's just so much more like guaranteed to get the job done than you relying on your accuracy.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. It's being carried by hipster, obviously, and everything else is like average, if not bad. It's just, I don't know. Do you want to put it lower? I don't know. I don't think that sits right with me for some reason, because hipster is actually usable, unlike stubby stuff. I'm actually fine with it being in B if you want it to be there.
How can it really be after everything you said? The thing is, there's a different. If we compare, like, hipster to EM Refire Booster, like I said, the EM Refire Booster sort of makes the stubby as good as it should be. The hipster contains part of what M1000 needs for it to be as good as it should be. As
hipster penetration shots was, at the very least, and may still be, one of the best ways of crowd clearing as a scout. right? Like, you can't really take it away from it. Well, like notch it like for it, but it's just, I don't know. It's still not good.
I just think it's on average quite a bit less usable than these guys.
Yeah.
Even though it arguably has more builds, it also doesn't. Its mod selection is very fickle. I don't feel good using most of these things. I don't really know what. None of them feel quite right, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, both rounds is basically a given if you're using anything other than.
I'll give it a compliment in that it feels kind of nice to use. It's designed very pleasingly used. The sound effects and the reload. This mod is very satisfying really as well. No, but like the shots themselves sound really nice, and the reload effects are kind of beautiful actually. I'd argue, but I do think it's pretty bad actually. Personally,
yeah.
I just don't.
I don't know. It's still like bottom tier, but I'm not sure if it's bottom tier. It depends what else gets put in C, really. Because I do feel the Stubby is significantly worse than the M1000.
I don't feel
I hate both of them equally.
Yeah. I don't feel like it's significantly worse. Maybe it is worse, maybe it's not. I know which one I like more. The two. So.
Well, no, M1000 hipster is good. It's just it's copium, but I genuinely don't think that there's anything good about the Stubby. But yeah, I don't know. I guess moving on. I mean, it's just like you think like outside your own head for a second, and you realize that like every single thing we put down, like more people than would agree with us disagree with it, right? Like everyone would have an issue with every placement we have on this list.
What do you think? Oh, I don't know. I feel like maybe the minigun's the least that has the lowest probably pushback. Maybe,
but some people would definitely want it in S.
Yeah, some people would. I don't know. But I thought that's probably the most.
I think right now the GK is probably actually the. Like if people can acknowledge that it isn't overall firepower output, but more for the character, the GK being an A is definitely, I think, reasonable. Like I don't think anyone's saying it's too weak anymore. Like people have already been singing its praises.
I mean, yeah, and in fact,
I don't think anyone would put it in airs. So I think
perfect gunner weapon.
Yeah.
Thing. Beautiful.
So yeah, I mean we've got no wait, we're done, right?
Yeah, we're done. Oh, yeah. I got a little bit confused. I thought, is he trying to?
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Hold on, I think we're missing a tier.
No. You're fumbling this one, aren't you? Is it even going to see that tier? Can they even see this smart rifle tier?
There you go. The smart rifle.
Well, we haven't put anything in D yet, and I don't think it belongs there. So those are two things. But yeah, I think that's enough for now. We are going. We are leaving. Harry, stop dicking around.
I'm gonna put it above.
This is a very serious video.
I'm gonna make a tier above the being sick.
Put it behind the breach cut. Wait, no, never mind. Don't do that.
What? You
I'm
idiot.
done. I'm really confused right now.
No, don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Anyway, this is it. This is our. It's over. This is the whole tier list.
Yeah,
this is the whole tier list. If it was, I don't know, 2019. What?
Well, I was pretty kind of sold myself on the Cryo being an A, but no, I'm pretty upset right now. I'm gonna be honest. I can't disagree with it being in B, but I'm not happy about it.
I mean, I feel a similar way about. No, I don't actually. No, stop it. It's better than this. Anyway, next time is going to be fun. Anyway, if you are here still, go away because we're about to go, aren't we? Right?
Yep. Bye bye.
Unless we have any final words about the tier
No,
list
we're
itself.
leaving right now.
No, I've got to say thanks for watching. All right, done
No,
it.
you
Bye.
don't.
No, I've done it.
All right.
Just did it.
Bye.
This guy.